All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. So about a month from now, they'll be entering training camp, right? And a couple of weeks after that, we'll have the preseason. And before you know it, the regular season will be here. I feel so good about the Las Vegas Raiders this upcoming season, specifically their defense. I'm excited to see Aiden OConnell, but I will keep it a buck with you guys. I don't love this report that Aiden OConnell has the slight edge over Gardner Minshew. Now, I will just say, take it with a grain of salt because Gardner Minshew is a proven veteran in the National Football League. They paid him $15 million for a good reason, and I don't think he will start week one. But I will just say, if Gardner Minshew's the week one starter, I will say it was a disappointing Aiden O'Connell draft pick. The good news is I don't think we will be anywhere close to that. Basically, the reason I'm saying this is because ESPN's Jeremy Fowler said that Aiden O'Connell probably has the slight edge right now over Gardner Minshew during the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback battle. Now, take everything I said with a grain of salt because, once again, we knew this was going to be a battle. We knew that Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco wanted competition all across their team and specifically at the quarterback position. So welcome back to the channel. We're talking Raiders in today's video, but before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button. Raiders fans, trying this video to 100 likes, I would really appreciate it. We won't know the answer most likely until literally week one. Probably after the last preseason game, we will not know the starter. Now, the reason I would be upset if Gardner Minshew's the week one starter is just because I think that really puts a certain ceiling. I think it really lowers the ceiling for the Raiders team. Now, it does potentially raise the floor, but the thought process, the hope obviously is, all right, you didn't take a quarterback in the first round. You didn't trade up for a quarterback. You didn't take a quarterback at any point in the draft. So your starters on your team, Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. But my issue with that, if Aiden O'Connell's not the dude, is just the Raiders roster is so freaking talented that we would be in the same situation we were in this offseason next offseason. But once again, the good news is I still think Aiden O'Connell is going to be the guy. And one big reason is because Davante Adams reportedly loves Aiden O'Connell, and the second-year signal caller has shown early growth with the ability to audible at the line of scrimmage. However, the Athletics' Hashan Reed expressed early concern with the Raiders' quarterback competition. He said this: both Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew struggled during OTAs. They split snaps with the first string fairly evenly, but neither found much success during the practices that were open to reporters. Now, Aiden O'Connell last season, 2,200 yards, just a little over 2,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions with a 62.1 completion rate in 11 games, and 10 of those were starts. We also have to keep in mind 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in the final month of Aiden O'Connell's rookie season. When you take any quarterback, whether they're a rookie, whether it's a new team, it doesn't matter. When you take specifically, or I should say especially, a rookie quarterback, and the head coach gets fired, the GM gets fired, the offensive coordinator, right, in Josh McDaniels, like, that's gone, and you just get thrown out there to start in, what was it, week 10, week 8, whenever it was, you're probably going to struggle. And that's what we saw from Aiden O'Connell. And like I said, that's expected. It's expected that he's going to struggle right out of the gate, or at least be a little inconsistent. So that's why I think it's important to emphasize the 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in his final 4 games of the season. In his final 5 games of the regular season, 9 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. But I think he earned the trust of his teammates, guys like Davante Adams. I think he clearly earned the trust of Antonio Pierce, because all offseason we were hearing, it's Aiden O'Connell's job to lose. But I just want to throw this interesting tidbit to Aiden O'Connell's benefit, right? Or, to back him up here, because he's entering year 2, but he's technically had 3 offense coordinators. He has not played a game in year 2 yet. So literally in 1 year, 3 different offensive coordinators. So they told Aiden that he needs to work on 2 things specifically this upcoming season. All right. Number 1, you got to be more mobile. And number 2, you got to be more vocal. If you're going to be the starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders, you need to be the leader of the locker room, and you need to be more vocal. And reportedly, he has improved in both of those two factors. All right. So now I want to talk about two players, two youngsters, because we know Davante Adams, one of the best wide receivers in the league. Jacoby Myers, one of the most underrated wide receiver twos in the league. And Michael Gallup, they picked up. They also got a couple of wide receivers a little bit deeper down in the depth chart. We know they've drafted Brock Bowers. We know they still have Michael Mayer, Alexander Matson, Zamir White comes back, being the lead running back this upcoming season. But Dylan Labbe was a guy who non-Raiders fans immediately, when they noticed the film and they're watching the highlights, because he, like, on Twitter, Dylan Labbe highlights like really blew up. He was compared to a mini CMC. Now the difference is Christian McCaffrey coming out of college was like highly touted. He was, like supposed to be what he is now. Dylan Labbe was drafted all the way later on in the draft. But there's a lot of playing time up for grabs here because Zamir White had a good final 4 games of the season last year. But before those final 4 games of the season, most Raiders reporters and fans were thinking Zamir White would not be on this roster after that season. So you bring in Alexander Matson, who had a horrible year. Alexander Matson, as the lead running back for Minnesota after they got rid of Dalvin Cook, had a horrible season. And that's why he's a free agent. One thing I do like about Alexander Matson is his ability to catch the football. Now, Dylan Labbe can do a little bit of both. He was a standout, all right? 556 carries for over 2,700 yards and 19 touchdowns as a rusher. As a catcher, 171 catches for 1,800 yards and 12 touchdowns. Special team player as well. He had 90 kick returns for 2,200 yards and 2 touchdowns. 34 punt returns, 426 yards, and 2 touchdowns. In fact, back in 2013, this past season, his final year of college, he led New Hampshire in both rushing yards and receiving yards. He had 749 rushing yards and 699 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns catching the ball. So he had 16 total touchdowns. On film, on highlights, this dude should play immediately. But once again, Zamir White's in front of him, Alexander Matson's in front of him, and he's a little bit of a smaller back. But I think long-term, Dylan Labbe might actually be the steal of not the Raiders draft, but the entire NFL draft class. Now, I want to move on to Trey Tucker real quick because we saw so much speed. He's the fastest receiver on the team. He's the best deep threat on the team. 6 catches, 250 yards, and 2 touchdowns on passes thrown 20 or more yards last season per PFF. In addition to that, he's really grown as a route runner towards the end of last season. He did have a couple of drops, which was something to keep an eye on, but he was a rookie, right? 3rd round rookie draft pick. But he has connection with Aiden OConnell. And if Trey Tucker can break out to what we think Trey Tucker can be, well, now you got Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, this trio of running backs, a solid offensive line, as long as they can stay healthy. Luke Getsy, new offensive coordinator, but you got Davante Adams. You got Michael Gallup just in case. You got Jacoby Myers. If Trey Tucker can take that leap, folks, watch out for this Raiders offense. That's it for today. The dead point of the offseason. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, and give me your thoughts on Aiden OConnell down below.